Hi everyone, it's Brenda here with another episode of Three Uniques. I've got Kristin Constable. Hey Kristin, how are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on. So just so everyone knows, Kristin is a business and whole life leadership coach. So what does that mean, Kristin?
Yeah. Well, I could go on for a long time about it, but I'll make it short. Is I've got a real strong opinion around what leadership is, and it's not about having a position or title, in my opinion. It's around really showing up and your wholeness in every aspect of your life. So when I do leadership coaching, a lot of people think it's about like leading others, and that's an aspect of it, but it really starts with how you show up as a leader in every area of your life from your wholeness. So that's what, in the shortest way I could put it, is that's what that's all about.
Awesome. And so you live in Vancouver, you've got a dog like me. Anything else that we need to know about you?
Oh, no, I mean, that kind of sums it up. Is like, yeah, with my work, I work with entrepreneurs and leaders who are passionate about doing their, what I call soul work in the world. And when I'm not doing that, I'm hanging out at Kitts Beach with my dog. So that's about it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're here to share your three uniques with us today. So how about it?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just share them at three right away, and then we can dig into them. So the first thing that I think is unique about me is that I love holding big visions for people. So really holding a big vision, but then also being able to chunk it down into manageable steps. So that'd be the first one. And then the second one is working with paradox is something that I love to do, and also am fascinated by, as holding these ideas of two things that are equally true at the same time and seeing how they can actually support one another. And then the third one is around grounded optimism. So I have this and this would be something that I would call like a gift. Like I don't need to try too hard. I have a way of being able to stay optimistic even through tough times, but keep it in like a grounded kind of way. So yeah, we'll dig into more of those later.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. So the first
Okay.
one, take it up to the top.
Yeah, so the holding the big visions and chunking it down. So I actually had a client talk to me the other day. It was a discovery call, and she was sharing a little bit about her business idea. And she goes to me, she's like, "Do you think that this is crazy? Do you think I can do it?" And I have this moment of it was so true to it. I wasn't just pumping her up. It was like, I actually believe that nothing is too big. You just need to chunk it down small enough. And so regardless of what someone's vision is we can hold that, and it may feel heavy at times, but if you just break it down into manageable next steps, that can be really supportive. And the first time I got introduced to that as being a skill of mine, a unique skill of mine, was one of my first bosses. And he said to me, he's like, "You have this unique ability of being able to pull out and see the big picture vision, but then also get down into the details and actually do the steps to get there." So I love that about the work that I do. And I think it's something that I can really offer, that I really offer to myself and to others through being able to see those two sides of the coin.
Yeah, and if I reflect back to that time where I took that course with you in early January,
Yeah.
I guess it would have been 2020 this year. It seems like
Yeah.
so long ago, but
Yeah.
with everything that's happened this year, but it was January 2020. And that's one of the exercises that you had us do. You had us just play in that space of, mind mapping and thinking big about what we wanted to do, but then taking us through different activities where we could actually chunk it out.
Yeah.
And I love that. So it's you got the chance to play and think big and purposeful, but then break it down into really practical action steps. So
Yeah.
having lived it, I can say
Yeah.
that yes, we do that really
I
well.
forgot that we did that together. Yeah, totally. Yeah, you got to experience that.
Yeah, firsthand. And then your second unique.
Yeah, so the second one is around the paradox piece. So I did an exercise a couple years ago around having people that I've worked with describe how they would describe my coaching style. And a few themes, or a couple themes that came out, were this idea of spirituality and yoga and kind of this inner work, but then also this boss, tactical business side of things. And so often I think people think that they can't go together, or they're we have to play in one space. I've got to be the boss, but I can't really embrace this other side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always looking for ways of bringing those two things together. So one of the ways that I talk about the business coaching that I do is the tagline, "Business is a spiritual game." Because to me, and from my own experience being an entrepreneur, it's been one of the most like evolving things that I've ever taken on. Like there's nothing that's going to test you and who you know yourself to be more than the game of entrepreneurship. And those people who are entrepreneurs will know that. And I'm sure you can speak to that a little bit too, is that it really tests you to see like who you are and what you stand for and what's important to you and the kind of legacy you want to leave. And those are big spiritual questions in my opinion. And they can go really beautifully with the more grounded, actionable, business side of things. So that's one way that paradox shows up in my work, but there's lots of different examples as well.
I love that. You're starting to see that a lot more in business, where it's like, we're not just sort of this like sort of distinct, bucket of like how we need to operate, but just recognize that it's like this organic like ecosystem, and we can pull in lots of different concepts, spirituality. I'm hearing the words like intimacy, love, like we know people that practice that from their coaching experience. And so, you're hearing that coming more into the business vernacular or the business setting. And I think that's really important. And I've always been a big proponent of like not separating our lives out into all these different compartments. It's like kind of like one life. And like, how do we also bring that into the business setting too, so that we can just be whole, authentic, and unique at the same time.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then your third unique.
And then the third one is grounded optimism. So that one, again, that got reflected to me from a boss at one point. And I'd been working with him for about 6 months, and he kind of reflected back to me. He's like, you have this like unique ability of silver lining stuff without being Pollyanna about it. And I was like, oh, no one had ever reflected that back to me. Because sometimes with our uniques, they're so a part of who we are that other people can see them in us, but we can't always see them in ourselves. And that was definitely the case for that unique for me. Is like, I was like, oh, that's just the way I see the world, and don't other people see it that way? And having that reflection was really helpful and powerful, because I realized that I could use that as a gift to share with others to help them maybe see what some of the silver lining was there, or what the learning opportunity was there, and kind of look at that of like, either it's I love the saying, it's like either a great memory or like a great learning opportunity. And I truly like believe in that. And I think it's a really powerful place to live.
Awesome. And so I'm looking behind you and I'm seeing all these books that I've like read, like there's a Brene Brown, there's Flat Army with Dan Pontefract. Like I'm seeing like titles and like book spines that I'm like, yeah, seen it, done it, or would love to read it. Is there a book that you specifically like recommend or even give to people all the time? Like you're just like, this is kind of like part of like your library and you always want to, let people know that it's important to read?
I don't have a go-to like that. I do give books to people at the end of most of our times, our coaching sessions or coaching packages, is I'll give someone a book of one that I've read. And I usually do it for like what they're working with and what they're working on. But, I love Brene Brown's work, and that's just there for me right now. Is her work around leadership is so beautiful and powerful. And yeah, I think that it just really depends on what people need and where they're at. Like I also like, I just gave someone a Stephen Pressfield book the other day, which was a little bit more like a little harder, I guess. So it's always around what you need. And so I know for myself at different points in time, I need different things. I either need the little, like a little bit of a kick and like to get moving, or I need the softer stuff. So that's what I love about leadership, is that there's the range of that there. So I wouldn't say there's one go-to that I would give people. Currently, I'm reading Carl Jung's Map of the Soul. So that's really interesting. I love psychology and anything to do with psychology.
Lovely, nice. And then here's a question, not to stump you, but what do people often get wrong about you? Or something get wrong about you?
Interesting question. Yeah. I often get that people find me reserved at the big, like before getting to know me. And so that I'm hard to read or reserved. And once people get to know me, like I usually get that I'm really warm and like personable. So there's something there in like the initial meet that often gets like misinterpreted. But with some time, there's that they come to see that that's a little bit different. So yeah. I don't know. Is that how you experience me? I'll ask you.
No, I think you're really genuine and I think you're really insightful. So maybe the reserve piece is like you're learning about people That's how I
Yeah.
sort of interpret it. Like you're a learner, and whenever I see you in your content externally and positioning yourself, it's always from a place of learning and insight. So I think maybe that's how I sort of interpret it. I never
Mhm.
sort of pictured you as reserved. I just think you're soaking it all in, and then you're very genuine and warm and like connecting
Hmm.
with people.
Oh, thanks for that reflection.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then a fun question. So when it comes to toilet paper, over, under, what are you sticking
Over,
with?
and I'm like a weirdo about it. Like if I go in the bathroom and it's like the wrong way, I will be the person that will like take it off and like put it over. Yeah.
So I've asked a bunch of people this as I'm doing this reunions video, and you're not unique in that area. There's a lot of people that are like overs, and they also will go into other people's bathrooms.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, that's not, I don't feel so weird anymore.
not weird. It's actually like, I think like a cult practice, but anyways,
Yeah.
it's underground movement around it. Okay. Well, thanks, Kristin, for being on today. And thank you very much for sharing your three uniques. It was awesome to hear them. And yeah, look forward to seeing more content from you coming out this fall.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Take care.